going on, guys? Reaper here, and welcome to Reaper Declassified. This is episode 8 of the Project 69 GTO War Angel. Now, of course, I'm sure you're all here to see a little bit less of my Mad Max-inspired cosplay, and a little bit more on how we built this Fury Road-inspired post-apocalyptic steering wheel. Alright guys, if you're watching this episode, then you've probably been following the series on the War Angel. Or you're just a fan of Mad Max and the post-apocalyptic world and want to see how you build a post-apocalyptic steering wheel. And I can't blame you, because I'm a big Mad Max and post-apocalyptic fan myself. And when I saw Fury Road and the really super awesome steering wheels they made for the production cars and everything in it, well, it really got some creative gears turning in my head. Well, no pun intended. Now, this is the original steering wheel that came out of the War Angel, and this is my Fury Road inspired steering wheel. And you can see that they're roughly about the same size. Now, the original steering wheel weighs maybe 5 pounds roughly. And the War Angel steering wheel weighs closer to 15-ish or so pounds. Now, to better understand how this steering wheel and its design and using wrenches and the Grim Reaper in the middle came to life, is that this is actually one of my early logos. But I hand-built, cut, and fabricated this whole Grim Reaper image and used wrenches behind it. So for this one, which changed up from my early style, which one of them was actually a giveaway. It had red light-up glow lights. It was kind of a wall hanger, desk ornament, but every one of them had a bullet hole in the dome. And then, of course, you know, with this one I changed it up and used spent brass casings, cut down and used them for the eyes. So building a steering wheel like this is both easy in theory, but kind of complicated in practice. Now, the idea and image you have for it is the easy part. It's sourcing and finding the parts that you need or want to build the steering wheel that becomes a little bit difficult. But then, of course, the most important part is when you start putting it together that you make sure everything is centered and exactly where it needs to be, so you don't get an oblong steering wheel. So the search, I went to one of our local Tractor Supply stores and I found the ring gear, which just happened to be almost the perfect size for a steering wheel. And then, of course, I wound up finding the chain at the same place that wound up being the perfect size once welded to the ring gear. From there, I sourced the wrenches from a local antique store for like a couple dollars each or so. I wind up having to cut them down a little bit in there somewhere, and I'm going to do somewhat like this, but instead of 3 supports I'm going to have 4, so it's going to almost make an X. Then I scrounged up some leftover 1/8 inch plate that I had laying around, and this is where things got difficult, trying to make a damn near perfect circle and then getting all these holes in the right place. I actually wound up taking an old steering wheel that I had and copying those holes, laying it down and using it as a template to make sure I got all of these in the right location. Then, of course, we had to take these wrenches and start setting them up and getting them all centered and even, so this is literally directly in the middle of this entire ring. That way everything is centered and proper. All the wrenches cut in half, and cut down to the length that I'm going to need for the little supports on the inside. What I'm doing right now is I'm notching right down the middle of where the side I've cut, right here. So it looks like that. Part of the reason for that is strength. That's going to go in the notch, and you're going to be able to bend them out to a degree like that. So when you weld them on both sides, it's going to add a little strength, but it's also going to help keep it in that groove in that area. So then we cut the ends of open end here off right here, so when it sits up there it will be just about right from there to where it's going. We're kind of at that point, we're measuring, getting all the heights of the wrenches to see where we want to get them height wise and how this is going to fit on here. This one looks like it's a little high. Got to get a level and find out. But this is kind of what I was talking about. Instead of having 3 supports, there's 4 supports in it. So as soon as we get these where we need them, we'll go ahead and weld it to this here. Alright guys, so I pretty much figured I'd let the old man do all the arc welding on this. We decided to go with arc welding over MIG because of the thick, heavy metal. So it'll pretty much penetrate better. I just got the chain to length that I need. So let's see. Hot. This is what we're going to do. We're going to tack weld in between each link, so it almost act like little finger grooves. So this thing go all the way around. This thing will be solid then. Pretty much done with the War Angel steering wheel. But one other thing I'm going to add to it is I think I'm going to go ahead and put my custom Reaper right in the middle of it. I will go ahead and put the bullet hole in the dome like the rest of them. But with the eyes on this one, I think what I'm going to do, I've already got these little plates drilled out here for holes. I've got these old shell casings that I'm going to go ahead and cut down right here and notch, since you can't weld brass to steel. Alright, there, you guys can get a little bit of a better look at what I meant by that. And the mushrooming of the shells. I cut them down and notched them, and then just started beating them. Mushroomed them out. And that's what holds them in. After all of that was lined out and completed, came trying to figure out how to attach this Reaper. Now, I know a lot of you guys are probably thinking, just tack weld it to this. Well, I didn't really want to do that because putting it in there left me with very little gap. And to get in there and mount this thing, even though it's going to have a quick detach, just was going to be too much of a hassle and a headache, especially if for any reason I wanted to switch it out with a different design. So I wound up actually kind of lucking out. I remembered one day that there's these screws that are kind of like a shaft screw or something. You have to forgive me, I don't remember exactly what these are called, but you have a male and female end, and you know, one goes inside the other and they're elongated. You see them a lot with leather work and stuff like that. Yeah, I just drilled 4 holes in the Reaper here. And now, as you can see clearly, it is easily removable, but also centered, and it just looks great. So it worked out perfectly for this build. So this is by far one of my all-time favorite projects or builds for the War Angel to date. The reason for that is, well, Father Time helped me build this steering wheel. To be perfectly honest with you, if it hadn't been for him and his knowledge of years and years of welding, I probably would have never completed this, or at least not completed it as nicely. I learned several things, and he taught me several things in regards to how some of this needed to be done, you know, certain parts of the steels that needed to be mated and how it needed to be welded, things that needed to be preheated that I quite honestly would have never even known about if it wasn't for his expertise. So that's an awesome father-son project right there, and a memory that, well, I'm going to have forever now. The fact that I recorded and went through the building process with this, and him being right there helping me, is, I mean, that you just can't pass that up, guys. That's something you should add, especially, you know, if you build projects and you have friends, family, or anything else like that, and they want to be included, include them in it. Because ultimately, at the end, your greatest memories of projects you've worked on or built is going to be with your friends and family, and everything you shared, and all the jokes and banter and just everything else that went on behind the scenes that most people don't get to see. You know, you never know when something's going to happen. You know, one day you may still have this car as a memory, and that person may no longer be in your life. But having that car and being able to go back and look at videos of you building and doing the project, or just having the car in general with photos or anything like that, could be the greatest memory that you have left. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and please let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And of course, we will be back next Wednesday with episode 9 of the build. But until then, remember guys, stay frosty, ride or die, Reaper out.